Welcome to this week's episode of the Rangeless Travel Podcast. We're your favorite adventure travel couple. I'm Britt and my partner Ryan, and every Tuesday we come and share stories and tips to help inspire you to book that next trip. This week is kind of fun. We're going to do a Q&A. We get asked a ton of questions in person and online and on YouTube and everywhere else. And usually the questions are kind of like the same or like the same flavor, different font.
Right, yeah. And it's usually the same few questions all the time.
Yeah, just different fonts.
So we're taking the most common questions that we've been asked, and we're going to answer them here.
Yeah. Let's dive into some questions.
All right, so first question that we usually get is why?
Why?
Why are we doing this?
Why are you traveling? Why?
Why do you travel? Why do you film what you're doing? Why do you do all of this?
But what? Okay, let's let's break it down into like the first one though,
Okay,
right? Like,
right.
Why are you traveling? Because our answers are going to be different. Why are you traveling?
My reason why I'm traveling is because I felt like I was stuck, essentially, for a long time. I was working long hours in a job that it was very abrasive. So, and I felt trapped. And I wanted to see the world. I always wanted to see the world. It was always my dream to travel. And I thought that I was going to get that opportunity when I moved to the U.S. But unfortunately, life got in the way. And
it's expensive to travel in the U.S. So I don't know why you're like, I'm going to go travel in the U.S.
No, but I thought like, I'll get my career going and then like I'll have money so I can go travel. But the problem was like, I just didn't have the time to travel.
Yeah, because in the U.S. we don't get the same sort of
vacation time or holiday time. No, it's like 2 weeks and that's it.
Yeah, in Europe, what do you guys get?
Like 28 days, something like that, I think. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a very different lifestyle. It's like...
So you didn't have the time?
No, I didn't have the time. And I was also thinking like, I'm getting older. If I don't go now, I won't be able to, or I will, but I'll be wishing I did it when I was younger. You always see that, like... I've talked to so many people and they're like, I wish I did it when I was younger.
Yeah.
I wish I did it when I was younger. And even when you go to these places and you see people who are at retirement age or whatever and they're traveling, they can't do all the cool things that everyone can do. So I'd rather go now and be able to see like as much of the world as I can, you know?
And I think that's similar to what we talked about last week. Because last week, on our last episode, if you haven't listened, we talked about traveling in our early 20s versus late 20s, early 30s. Right. And just like the differences in like the headspace and like how much different you are as a person when you travel in those different time periods of your life. So I think that's kind of what you're saying, that you wanted to do it now when you were young and fun and you can be like, I'm going to go to the top of that mountain. Did I train for it? No, I'm just going to go.
Just do it.
Yeah, where... You know, life is hopefully a really long time, but you're not guaranteed.
Don't know.
You're not guaranteed anything. Yeah. So even if you make it there, you don't know if you have, if you're lucky enough, which we both are extremely lucky to have our health.
Yeah.
So we can do those things, but it's not guaranteed that you're going to get there in age. And when you spend like your whole life working for, what's the average life expectancy in the U.S.? I think it's like 76 for a man and like 78 for a woman, something around there. Or 74. It's somewhere in the mid to late 70s. And...
Spent 50 years working for like 5 years.
Yeah, and you worked until you were 60-something. And like with our generation, like we're not guaranteed that we're ever going to be able to like retire.
No.
Or what's the planet even going to look like when we get there? So it's like, do it now.
Yeah. So what's your why?
I mean, that's some of it. Yeah. I grew up and my father says all the time, do it now, do it now, do it now. Because he traveled some when he was young. He did his big travels he did it in his early 20s and then again in his early 30s.
Yeah.
He did a van trip. He bought like an old purple van during like the Woodstock era and did a cross-country trip with some of his friends, one of his cousins, and he talks about that trip. He's talked about that trip forever.
Yeah, I've heard so many stories about that trip.
So many good stories. So it's probably where like, it was probably the seeds that planted my love and obsession with van life, to be quite honest.
Right.
And then he did it again. He went traveling again when he was in his early 30s after he had already like started his business and he started being successful. And he started making some money and he went on a long trip to Australia and New Zealand and he traveled around on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And we have family in Australia, so he visited family and he did like all of that trip and absolutely loved it. So I grew up with him always saying, do it while you can, do it young, do it young, do it young. It won't be the same when you're older. So that was always ingrained into me. But also, I have ADHD. I don't know.
You're not getting enough stimulation. You're like,
I have ADHD, and I can't just I can't do the same thing every single day. So when I went to university, like, I switched majors a lot. So I ended up with like multiple undergrad degrees, which is so silly. I should have just got a master's, but like hindsight's 2020. But like, I was like, I thought I wanted to be a teacher.
right.
And I was like, I'm going to be a high school history teacher. It's going to be amazing. And then I'm going to like continue my education and eventually become a professor, right? So that was my plan at one point. And then I got in a classroom and I was like, wait, I'm going to have to teach the same exact lesson like
year after year after year.
6 times a day for the next 40 something years.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do that. Like, personally, like, teaching is, I think, one of the most important jobs in the entire world for anyone,
right.
like, ever. Like, out of all the jobs, like, teachers, you have to have teachers. You have to have good teachers that are educated and passionate about what they were doing. And I was just like, plus I was teaching history, and in the U.S., I don't really agree with the history curriculum, but that is a complete, not on topic of what we're talking about today. I could go a whole podcast on that.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can't do the same thing every day, all day, for the next 40 years. So I kind of switched and I went into like an office setting, and I was like, well, I can't do this either. Like, I literally am losing my mind.
Yeah, neither one of us is suited for office work.
No, like, I just can't.
We both gravitated towards away from that as much as possible.
Yeah, like, I tried.
Yeah.
I gave it the good old college effort, and I was just like, I can't do the same thing every day. I also don't like, I feel very trapped very quickly when it comes to like I don't do authority well. I have ADHD. Like, as soon as someone's like, you have to come here every day from like 9 in the morning to 5 o'clock at night, you get a 1 hour lunch break. And you need to come 5 days a week. And you have to ask when you can go for lunch. And I need to know where you are all the time. And if you want a day off, you have to ask. Like, that just doesn't sit well with me. I'm like, wait.
I thought I was an adult now. That was a schoolboy thing,
I'm
right?
like, why do I need to be monitored?
Yeah.
Monitored,
Yeah,
like,
no,
24/7, every step of the way, like, someone is telling me what I can and can't do. I cannot do that. So obviously I went right into starting businesses, but like, with that, like, the goal was always, I'm like, I have to travel. Like, I have to see new things. I feel like my kind of view on it is life is short.
Life is short.
And life is to be experienced. And the meaning of life is to experience and explore and find your own happiness as much as possible, and to just be. So the thought of just grinding away and being told what to do and being another cog in the wheel honestly drove me a little cuckoo in my own brain. And I was just like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I need to go out there. I want to explore. Like, I thrive off of new experiences, new people, the dopamine hits to the brain. You know, I just like, I don't find happiness in the same routine. I find it very repetitive, and I find it like very constricting.
Right.
And I don't like to be constricted. But there's more to the whys as well, because like, then those are like, why are you traveling is a question we get from a lot of people at home, or people that are like interested in traveling themselves.
Right.
Now, when we're on the road, we get a why question a lot.
Yeah, and it's different.
And it's a little bit different.
Right.
So from other backpackers and other adventurers and explorers, we get, why are you filming everything?
Yeah.
Why aren't you just living in the moment?
Why don't you?
Why are you doing this? It
looks like so much work.
Yeah, why aren't you just enjoying it?
Why don't you just enjoy it?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest. Why don't you just enjoy it? Why are you filming everything?
Yeah, and this is a little bit more personal for me, because I come from a family with like a history of like Alzheimer's and dementia, and even myself, I find that I don't remember things that well. And
you're very forgetful.
I'm very forgetful and never really have remembered things that well. So like, for me to go back in my mind and think, oh, what do we do here? What do we do there? What do we do there? Sometimes it's a struggle for me and I don't remember. Whereas like being able to go and make these videos and put them on the internet and save them so that I can like relive them, I get that like catalog of memories that I'm afraid that in the future when I'm older I won't be able to access.
Yeah, that you won't have.
Yeah.
And I know I've noticed it in you too, like even when you're going through an editing, you'll come to me like after a day of editing and you'll be like, oh, I had forgotten that we did this. And I'll be like, oh, so did I. Wait. And then we did this and then we did that. So it's almost like we get to relive our own memories as we're going through it.
And like a little thing like that, like it will remind me of all the other things that we did as well. Like even if we didn't film it, I'll be able to, it will spur like a chain reaction of memories around that time.
Yeah.
Which for me, I love it. Like that's why I really like editing the videos. And
because
it
reminds
allows
you
me to like live back through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it reminds you of the things that happened off camera.
Right.
And like the feelings that you were feeling, like it like reunites those feelings of it, like adventure. And like even looking back, because like we like behind the scenes a lot. And when you're working and spending every moment with someone, like you fight. It's just like, it's just normal. And now layer on top of that, you're hungry,
you're tired, you're cold,
you've
been on a motorbike for 10 hours and it rained on you.
Yeah, you're lost. Like you don't really know what where you are.
No one speaks the language.
Yeah, so it's all these factors of like uncomfy, frustration, working together all the time. Like you fight, and then it's funny because we'll look back and it'll be like, oh yeah, we were fighting that day. And now we're laughing now we're laughing about it because like they're not.
No, it's not a big fight. It's just like everyone's grouchy and it's an uncomfortable situation. So
so you're crabby.
Yeah.
And you're hungry. And you're like, ugh. Yeah. It's like that kind of, like you just don't have the patience
But would
anymore.
I change it? No.
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. And then I think there's more to that too, because then it's like, okay, you want to have the memories, I want to relive the memories. It's nice to be able to show people the memories like that we know, like family and stuff.
Family and friends and things like that, they're able to come with us on our journey and see what we're doing, and like there's that connection that otherwise we wouldn't really have, because it's a very disconnected thing, like being the people that go off and go traveling.
It is very disconnected
because most people don't, and then they can't really relate to that.
Yeah.
So,
and you can find that in your relationship. Sometimes it's like hard when you get back to connect.
Yeah, and they're like, what have you been doing? And we're like, well, all of this.
Yeah, watch the videos. Are you subscribed to our YouTube channel?
So it helps. I think it helps in that regard. Is like, it gives you something to talk about with people. Like, I'll get messages all the time and like, oh my God, you did that?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, and then even like our friends asking like, oh, well, you did that, like I really want to do that, I didn't know that was an option, or wait, who did you use to do that, because I've been looking into going on that trip and like I need a guide, or I want to experience that, how did you plan it? So it's more than just like, our friends are benefiting from it and enjoying coming on the journeys with us. And then I think it's also the level, like to bring it even like a more level, which is a little bit more selfish of a level, is you wanted to do it for a year.
I did.
I've been doing it for a while, and I'm like, there's a lot of money to be made online.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will come and have said things like, it's saturated, everyone's trying to do it, all of these things. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, I've done it. Like, we're doing it right now. Second of all, and I don't mean that in like I'm this or whatever kind of way.
No,
it's just
we're nothing special.
We're nothing special.
At all. But it's just...
It's
There's actually not that many people doing it.
There's not. So one time I was told, or did I see it on... I might have listened to it on a podcast. But someone said, when someone tells you a area is, or a job, or whatever it is that you want to do, like your dream, is too saturated. Okay? But look at your social circle. Look at your friend groups. Look at your friends of friends. Look at your cousins. Look actually around you and think about what you're doing. How many people are actually doing it?
Yeah.
That's what's telling you if something's saturated or not. And let's say something, and then I say this to people. This is another level. This is my own personal level of it. If someone tells you it's something saturated, right? Okay, cool. Like there's 1,001, maybe even 1,000,001 artists. Singers, right? But no one told you, oh, you get to choose 5 singers and that's all you get to listen to.
No.
No. You get to listen to 1,000,001 singers if
Right.
if you connect with 1,000,001 singers. And what you're doing is you're connecting with the individual. So the internet is saturated. It is. The internet's saturated. It literally has billions, millions, I don't know, so many users on every app, but there's only one of you.
Right.
So if you go on and you start creating things as yourself, you will build a community and people will find you because people will connect with you.
Yeah.
Because you can be the person that someone else needed, and like just make it for you. Just be yourself.
Right.
I know we talk about that all the time.
And then the other thing is we also try to like inspire others into doing the same thing, because so many people tell us, I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that, but we show them that you can actually do it.
Yeah.
You can go out there and do it.
And again, being a little bit selfish, I enjoy, I find happiness when other people tell me, I'm so inspired by what you're doing.
Right.
Or I loved watching you do this. I'm not able to do it, but I love being able to vicariously live through you. That brings me genuine happiness.
Yeah.
Maybe that's selfish. Maybe I don't know. I look at it, maybe it's a little bit selfish, but is it wrong to be a little bit selfish? If it doesn't hurt no one else, if it brings me happiness to inspire someone else, that's okay selfishness, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think selfish is a bad word. But then again, I'm just an idiot on the internet.
Okay. So
Okay. Now that you were done with Brittany's rant, okay.
So the next question that we
Well,
got.
I have one more point on that.
Okay.
Because some people are like, why don't you just enjoy it? I think that's a really important part of that question. Why do you film everything? Why don't you just enjoy it? Because they have a point. Because we talked about the secondhand happiness of getting to relive it. We talked about our family members and friends getting to see it. We've talked about being able to inspire others. It also allows us to, make money through this so that we can continue to travel and do the things we want. But the question is, why don't you just enjoy it? Because it is taking away from the moment. Viewing something through the camera and trying to get the angles and the shots and thinking of the post-production and the storyline and all of these layers and the shorts and the reels and the captions and the blog posts, right? That is taking away from it. So the question that a lot of backpackers ask us is, why don't you just enjoy it? I think it's valid, and I think it should be talked about. And I think it's because we want to keep doing it. But
that's why. Yeah, it's so we can keep it going. It's so that we can do this sustainably and make it last and do it for as long as we want.
Yeah. So, and it's so that we can have all those other things. It's so that we can inspire others. It's so that our families can see it.
It's definitely a sacrifice. There's so we've been on so many trips that people have they're just out there having fun, and we're there thinking of
camera angles,
thumbnails, thumbnail pictures, and then we're thinking, what are we going to talk about? What are we doing here? How are we going to set this up? And it's a lot of work. It is work.
Yeah. And I think something that we haven't been that good about is balancing it so that we can have moments of just being there and enjoying it. I know a lot of times what I started trying to implement right in the beginning, because I had gone out and filmed before. I'd gone out and vlogged before. This was your first time doing it. And I think that a lot of times I'm like, nope, we're just going to eat dinner. Leave the cameras at home. Yeah. And I think it's to sustain it long term,
you have to have times where you're not on,
and then not let yourself feel guilty about it.
Yeah,
put it all down and go out.
I think one of my favorite trips, but unfortunately you got hurt on that trip, was Komodo Island, because there was no internet. Yeah, there was no pressure. Everyone was just chilling on the boat. There's hours of time where there's nothing happening and everyone's just chilling out, and then you go to an island. You go diving in the water. You go to beautiful beaches, national parks,
and you're in the national park.
You're seeing the wildlife. But for the most time, you're not doing anything and you're just relaxing. I read a whole book on the way there. It was amazing. I was trying to read that book for months before that.
Yeah, so I think it's the balance. Just like in everyday life, it's the balance between work and life, and that is one of the hardest balances to dance.
Yeah, of course.
All right, second topic. Now I'm ready. Sorry.
Okay. So,
what's some of your favorite places?
Everyone always
asks. Everyone always asks.
I tell everyone the same answer to this question, and for me, it's Vietnam. Vietnam is my favorite place in the whole world because I think it was our first country that we landed in. There was okay, we're doing this. We're doing
Yeah.
this.
And it had always been your dream to motorcycle the world. So we landed.
And we got motorbikes and we did the whole country.
And Vietnam is so different.
Affordable.
But it's so different.
Nothing in Vietnam makes any sense whatsoever.
But it all makes all the sense.
But it somehow all works.
Yeah.
And you could ask a person from Vietnam this, and they'll be like, it doesn't make sense, but it works.
Are you sure?
Yes. I've been on, yes, I've asked them. And it just... I love it.
It's a fantastic
It's
place.
chaotic.
Yeah.
It's chaotic and I don't know what it is. It's the atmosphere. It's everything. It's
the people. It's the food.
It's the food. The food is, oh my God. If I could pick a place to go right now for some food, it'd be Vietnam. I need some pho. I need some bun cha. Some banh mi's. Oh, that's what I want.
We've eaten too. We
just had breakfast.
Ryan's like, no, but it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't a banh mi from a cart on the side of the road where the woman is like slathering on pate, mystery meat that I don't want to ask too many questions about, pickled veg, coriander, maybe there's some kind of sauce they're putting on there, and then she's wrapping it up real good.
That might be the hardest thing about editing the Vietnam videos is watching the food and not being able to eat it again.
Yeah.
Just being like, oh, I want that.
Wait, when they wrap things in like old homework is like my favorite.
Yeah, or newspapers.
Yeah, I love it. I'm like, absolutely. Wrap it up in your...
There's handwriting on this.
I love Vietnam. Vietnam's a great place to go.
Yeah.
It's great for a budget.
Yeah, fantastic for the budget. It's probably the most affordable place in the world.
Yeah. My favorite place, I say it all the time, is Lombok.
Yeah, Indonesia.
Lombok, Indonesia is my favorite place in the whole world.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. The surfing is incredible. Like, if you have never surfed before in a day in your life, there is a spot for you to go surfing in Lombok. If you are a professional surfer that has won, like, title awards, there's also places for you to go surfing in Lombok. Yeah. Like, there is everything. And they're typically
not too busy most of the time.
No, most of the time. There are spots.
That will change, but because it's getting more and more built up.
Yeah, but if you're good, it opens a lot more spots up for you. It's the beginner spots that get...
Yeah, that's always, though.
Yeah, it's the beginner spots that get crowded, but, like, even then, like, people complain about how crowded it is, and it is crowded, do not get me wrong, and it is gotten more and more crowded, and it will continue because it's so beautiful, but, like, it's still not that bad.
No.
Like, there's 50 people in the lineup. Like, that's a lot, but...
It's not as bad as Bali.
I don't know. I grew up surfing on the Jersey Shore, so like, it's aggressive. It doesn't hit all the time, so when the waves are hitting, like people are like trying to fight you in the water. Like it's a little intimidating. So me going there, I'm like, yeah, follow the rules of the water, but like it's not bad. Mm-hmm. But then you could go in a day. You could go surfing. Then you could go to the national park and you could like cliff jump into the ocean.
Yeah.
Then you could get on a scooter and ride a few hours and you can be in like the jungles, in the mountains, like swimming through a waterfall and like hiking through the jungle.
Right.
Then like the next morning you could wake up and hike to the top of Rinjani, which occasionally snows.
Yeah.
You could also like be in the waterfall and there's like active volcanoes still around the island. So like a volcano can be like erupting. Mm-hmm. One time we were in the water and a volcano erupted and let me tell you, we didn't know what to do.
You stay in the water.
Yeah, but like you don't know what to do. You just go, what are we supposed to do? Yeah, you stay in the water. But we didn't know. It was interesting. So yeah, that's my favorite place in the world. Budget-wise, it's not going to be the cheapest place you ever go.
No.
But it's also...
It's not unaffordable.
It's not unaffordable. You could do it super luxurious. Like, there are places that are like $1,000 a night to stay.
Or you can do it super affordable.
And you can do it super affordable. And, like, there are little hostel bunks for, like, $5 a night to stay. So there is, like, a huge range. Also, there is, like, all of the convenient things. So if you want, like... Western style coffee and Western style food and pasta. A lot of Australian influence because you're super close to Perth. Mm-hmm. So you can get all of those like comforts of like home kind of things. But also you cannot at all because there's still such an amazing local culture that you can integrate yourself as much as you want into the culture. And I find in a lot of surf towns, people integrate a lot more because you automatically have this thing in common.
Yeah, because the locals are all, like, not all of them, but a lot of them are really good surfers.
Really good surfers, as they should be.
Yeah.
And it gives everyone these common ground to, like, bond over.
Right.
So it builds this surf community, which I feel like is very special. And it's like, and people are very open and warm, and like you get, like, you go out, whether you're good or not really doesn't matter too much. If you're good, obviously, like, it's a little bit different of a dynamic. People who are really good surfers, you automatically get that level of respect.
Right.
But if you just go out and like do your best and are respectful to everyone, like, people bring you right into the community.
Yeah.
Lombok's my favorite place in the world, hands down. Like, not even. I'd move there tomorrow. If you were like, you can get a plane ticket right now, one-way ticket, and move anywhere you want in the world.
Lombok?
I'd go right to Lombok. I'd be like, yep, that's where we're moving.
That's a good spot.
It's a great spot. It's a great spot. So Vietnam for you?
Vietnam.
Lombok for me.
I don't know if I'd live in Vietnam. Maybe for a short while, but not forever.
Yeah.
But I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vietnam's very livable, though, especially in the big cities.
Yeah. And also, I don't want to ruin it in my own head. You know when you love a place so much, you don't move there.
You build it up too much.
Well, if you move there, like, then you get dragged into the drudgery and all of that.
But see, I lived in Lombok.
Oh.
Like, I lived there.
Yeah.
Like, and I loved it. The longer I spent there, the more I loved it.
When I first came to the U.S., I loved New York City. But after
New York City is
6
exhausting.
or 7 years, I'm like, oh my God, to get me out of this.
Yeah,
place.
New York City is exhausting. But
then when I came back, I went up there for like a couple days walking around the city, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
This is nice.
Yeah.
And
but
so,
loving someplace and living someplace.
It's two different things.
Yes, but I was also going to say, just because you love someplace and want to live there, and you do live there, doesn't mean it fits you through every stage of life.
No, it definitely doesn't. Everyone should have it. It's very expensive, and not everyone can. But everyone should have a New York City era of like a little bit of time where you live there and then you leave. Or you stay, but in my opinion.
Being from, like, right now we're in New Jersey, about an hour from New York, depending on like which way you go in. And most of the people not most of them, but a lot of the people that grow up around here at some point have live in New York at some point.
And then they get out.
Yeah, with like 12 roommates in like a flex room, which means that it's actually like a 2-bedroom or it's actually a 1-bedroom, but they like make the living room another bedroom, or they like make like a piece of something another bedroom, and they call it a flex room, and you like put up these like makeshift walls. Yeah, a lot of people when they're young that grow up around where I am, they do that at some point. Okay,
another question that we often get is, how are we affording this lifestyle?
Yeah, that's a huge one.
That is a big one.
I want to start off with, if you're traveling outside of the U.S., particularly if you're traveling in Southeast Asia, it's going to be a lot more affordable than you think it's going to be. A lot of the times, your full monthly spending budget is going to be on par or less than what your rent payment at home is going to cost.
Yeah, just rent.
Yeah, just rent.
Like, not expenses, not food, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Everything included is going to be less than your rent, typically.
Yes. So if you are working online and you can work remote, even if it's only part-time, you're going to be able to
save more money
and afford to
by traveling.
Yeah, to be moving around and traveling. I think there's pros and cons with that, ethically, morally. There is always some like fighting internally, because what it does is, when you take your like American style wages, or your European, your Western world wages, a place is super affordable because the people there aren't making enough money. So like, we're not saying that this is like the perfect scenario and the perfect setup. I'm definitely acknowledging that there are flaws in like what it is, but my motto is, I do the best I can where and when I can.
Yeah. And
you just have to be grateful for the hand you were dealt, and then like live your life. I don't know. I don't have all of the answers. I do not have all of the world answers, but that is what it is. But usually you can get on with, for your monthly budget, about what your rent's going to be. And I'm thinking of a cheaper side of a rent. We did an episode of how much you actually need to travel in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
And we were saying one person was what, $1,200
a month.
A month, about, and then like two people were like $2,000 to $2,400, depending on how you like to travel a month.
Right.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that we did personally to be able to afford this lifestyle? First of all, we do it on a budget.
We do. We make a lot of sacrifices. We don't splurge on pretty much anything, really. And everything we buy is pretty much a necessity.
Yeah.
We don't really
so that means
have any extra.
No, and when we say we sacrifice, that means like we don't always go to like the dinners with our friends. We don't go out to like get the beers. We don't like, I always cook at home. Like we don't really buy takeout. We don't go out on dates. We don't do those things when we're in the States, and we save it to do like, in our idea, like better things when we're somewhere else. You also sacrifice going home to Ireland a lot.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge sacrifice.
Yeah, because it's very expensive.
Because it's very expensive for flights. And, like, you know, right now we're still building
out our business.
Building out our businesses and, like...
It's in the growth phase. We're in the growth phase. Throwing everything we have at it in terms of mental capacity and everything. Yeah. So it's taking all of our time up. Yeah. And... it's working out so far.
Yeah, and so far so good. We also, so where we had the money from, we worked a ton and we saved.
Yeah, for years.
We saved for years.
We both saved up for years.
Saved for years. And then the last way we're able to afford this is we work while we travel. Yeah. So we have multiple businesses. We have Level Up Marketing Solutions, which is our marketing agency specializing in hospitality and tourism. So we do marketing, social media management, content creation, teaching,
UGC stuff.
Through that. And then I also have Via Britt, which is my social media channel that I've built out for years now. And then we have Rangeless, that is our couple travel that
is on YouTube and Instagram.
And TikTok, and you might be listening to us on Spotify, you might be watching us on YouTube, but that's part of our Rangeless. And with all of that, we do content creation, which is essentially photography and videography for brands. Right. And then we also do brand deals, which we partner with brands and like give them and share our platform to get.
Yeah, and we also like deliver to brands videos and photos and all of that. That's not necessarily shared on our platforms.
Yeah,
but
so that would be
for their platform.
That would be UGC creation. So like user generated content would be something that and essentially it's just photography or videography work, and it's sent directly to the client. Right. And with that, there's like photo licensing. There's so many facets of it. Like it's the photo licensing. It's how long that they can use the photos for. It's where they can use the photos. It's all of these things that go into how much money we make for that. So we own businesses and we saved and we're building out.
And that's part of the, like what we spoke about earlier, is why do we film everything? That's why. We can keep the show on the road.
So we can have the money to afford this lifestyle. Right. So that goes back into why we're filming everything. What is our future plans? So
immediate future plans, we have a van that we're planning on moving into.
89 Ford Sportsmobile.
Right. She's thrown a few curveballs our way, and
has wanted to die multiple times.
Yeah.
But she's not. We're not going to let her. Thelma, you're going to live.
She's going to be good. But we've been a little bit delayed. So right now we are planning on doing fall up in New England.
So we're planning on going into
Maine, New Hampshire.
Yeah, so we're in New Jersey right now. So we're going to go into New York City, maybe do Brooklyn and like...
Yeah, we're going to do Van Alley for a week.
Yeah, we really want to go spend some time in Van Alley. So we're going to go to like Van Alley for a week and go there. Then maybe go up because it will be October, I'm thinking. So then we'll go up to Salem, Massachusetts and Portsmouth, New Hampshire, which is one of my favorite towns in the U.S. Portsmouth, go up into Maine, do pieces of Maine, go to Portland, Arcadia National Park, go into maybe the White Mountains in New Hampshire before it gets too cold. As soon as that weather starts getting like snowy, icy,
we are turning back around and heading south.
And heading
down
south
to Tennessee.
Yeah, my mom lives down there and she has a storage facility that has RV storage. So there's lots of room and lots of space. So we're going to go down there and kind of use those three, like that time, because that would have been like...
up in New England as like a shakedown trip for like... Any kinks we want to iron out of the van, anything we might have brought that we didn't need.
Yeah,
like
systems that we thought was going to work but didn't.
Any tweaks we need to make, that's what we're going to do in Tennessee. In the middle of the winter.
Yeah. Now it gets cold because she's maybe like an hour outside of Nashville. So it's cold there. Ice storms there. Right. But we're going to be there kind of working on things, heading out some tweaks, spending some time there until the weather breaks for us. And once that weather breaks, we're going to go into the southeast. And then as it gets too warm, we're going to head north. Because we do have 2 dogs. So we have Layla and Cedar, a.k.a. our podcast production team.
Yeah.
You could probably hear them sometimes in the background moving around as we're filming. Or sometimes you like see one like walk around on the bed. But
so we're very much, with the 2 dogs, we're very much dictated with the weather and temperature of where we can go, what time of year.
Yeah, for safety.
For safety and for comfort, and because we don't have AC that runs in the van when the engine's not on.
Yeah.
We can't be in the middle of Texas in the summer because it's way too hot for the dogs.
Yeah.
So
especially because they are both senior dogs, and like our one dog, Layla, she's blind. She has like health issues going on, so like it just doesn't. So we have to go more temperate. So when it starts getting hot again, we'll look for more temperate. We don't really know where yet, but maybe like up somewhere, Colorado-y, mountain-y. We'll get up to higher elevation.
Right.
Maybe spending then that following winter in Mexico before hightailing it for the summer months in Alaska.
Alaska is the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially New England to
Tennessee
to south to
west, and then
Alaska to Mexico. Alaska to Mexico.
Yeah.
Is the big soft plan.
Yeah, for the next couple years. That's pretty much our plans. And then, that's our plan.
That's our plan. So we hope you come along with us on it.
Of course. And then the other big question that we always get.
My favorite question.
Our least favorite question, probably, is when are you going to settle down? When are you going to buy a house? When are you going to
have kids? When are you going to... Yeah. Never.
Yeah.
No, that's not the answer.
That's not the answer. But like in the next 5 years, I don't see that happening.
No, and I think our idea of settling down is different, which is okay because everyone's idea of like what they want in the structure they want their life to be is different.
Yeah.
Now, I'm in my early 30s. Ryan's in his late 20s.
For me, I think the next, it'd be 5 to 10 years before we're looking to like buy a property. And even at that, it probably won't look like we're going to be there all the time. I think that we'll probably, for the first couple of years that we're there, we'll be doing like 2 weeks at home, 2 weeks on a trip, 2 weeks at home, 2 weeks on a trip. Probably something like that sort of scheduling for the first couple years. Then we're looking into maybe turning it into like a homestead or something like that, which when we're trying.
I'm looking at something completely different. I'm looking at collecting properties, like small properties all over the world and traveling just around
between them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's...
for the next few years, and then maybe then at some point having like a homestead.
Yeah. But we can't be too old when we do a homestead. That's the thing.
Well, if you don't have live animals.
It's still a lot of work to like grow plants and harvest them and all that.
Yeah, but then in the winter, you have to go somewhere in the winter because it gets too cold.
Yeah. But this is way down the line.
Yeah, this is like 10 years down the line.
Way down the line.
To the answer to is when are you going to settle down?
Probably never by the definition of what you're meaning.
Yeah, but the definition by what I'm meaning, I feel like I'm pretty settled down. I'm like, what do you mean I am settled down? Like, we have a van.
It's got 4 wheels and some gas in the tank. It's ready to go.
That is settled. What do you mean? I don't have to pack my backpack every day. Yeah. That is settled.
That's going to be nice.
Yeah, like we're packed. Like we drive our home.
Yeah.
So the answer to that is we don't know. And we don't have to know.
No.
For us,
We don't want to know right now.
No, for us, we are settled.
Yeah.
We don't have to pack our backpack every day. That is settled down for us.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions that you get asked that you feel like we haven't touched on? No?
I can't think of any.
Okay. Well, that is all the questions we are answering for today. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you are here on YouTube. And if you are listening to us on Spotify, hit the follow. It really helps us out. And if you want more from us, because, obviously, we are also on TikTok and Instagram. So until next week, bye.